Imagine waking up tomorrow and nothing moves. The earth still spins. The sun still rises. But the system that feeds you, powers you, connects you, freezes. By the third day, hospitals ration supplies, fuel deliveries stall. And supermarkets stop pretending restocks are coming. You walk into a store. The lights hum. The doors slide open. And the shelves are bare, not empty like a panic weekend. Empty like the trucks never came. No fruit, no medicine. No spare parts. The gas station sign flickers. Power grids strain because the fuel tankers keeping turbines alive are thousands of miles away, unable to pass a narrow strip of water. We tell ourselves the global economy is digital, cloud-based, weightless, indestructible, but that is comforting fiction. The real system is wet steel and diesel fuel. It is cranes and cables and shipping lanes drawn across dangerous water. 90% of everything you own traveled by sea. Almost all of it passed through a handful of narrow corridors. Close 1 and prices spike. Close 2 and factories stall. Close 3 and shelves go dark. This is the Chokepoint reality, and it is no longer theoretical. For decades, corporations worshipped efficiency. Inventory was waste. Delay was failure. Goods arrived hours before they were needed. Warehouses shrank. Buffers disappeared. It looked brilliant on spreadsheets. It looks fragile on a map. Ships grew enormous. Floating cities stacked with metal boxes. 24,000 containers riding a single hull. Economies of scale. One ship instead of 10, cheaper per box, catastrophic if it stops. When something blocks a narrow waterway, there is no graceful reroute. There is congestion. Insurance panic. Schedule collapse. Consider the southern gate of the Red Sea. A thin corridor between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, once feared for reefs, now feared for missiles. Commercial ships pass within range of drones cheaper than a family car. The missiles launched to defend them cost millions. It is arithmetic that favors disruption. When insurers multiply premiums tenfold, shipping lines make cold calculations. They divert around Africa, adding weeks, burning fuel, locking vessels into longer routes. Every extra day at sea removes capacity from the system, rates surge, and the cost flows quietly into groceries, appliances, hospital equipment. Move east and the stakes climb higher. The narrow throat of energy transit in the Persian Gulf, only miles wide, a fifth of the world's oil moving through it daily. There is no detour for that volume. If conflict closes it, prices would not rise gently. They would detonate. Even energy-producing nations cannot isolate themselves. Oil is priced globally. Shockwaves travel instantly, but not all choke points are violent. Some are dry. In Central America, a canal that lifts ships using freshwater depends entirely on rainfall. Each transit drains millions of gallons. When drought hits, passages are rationed, ships idle. Auctions decide priority. Factories wait. Climate becomes a gatekeeper. No missile required. Then there is the busiest maritime corridor on Earth, a narrow stretch linking 2 oceans and feeding industrial Asia, an artery running through contested waters. 40% of global trade touches this route. Energy lifelines pass through it. Navies shadow one another there. Alliances tighten. Miscalculation hums beneath the surface. A single sinking in that corridor could freeze insurance markets overnight. And without insurance, ships do not sail. Yet even these visible choke points are not the most powerful. There is another, invisible. The currency in which trade is settled. Most oil cargoes, aircraft leases, and shipping contracts are priced in one currency. That system routes through a handful of financial hubs. Access can be granted or revoked. Sanctions can immobilize fleets faster than blockades. Banks fear exclusion more than storms, but exclusion breeds adaptation. Shadow fleets emerge. Aging tankers change names and flags. Transponders fall silent. They move oil outside conventional oversight. They sail without reliable insurance. One accident could poison coastlines with no clear pair. Weaponized finance reshapes the sea itself. Then comes the digital layer. Ports are automated ecosystems, cranes guided by code, gates controlled by networks. If software locks, containers do not move. A single cyberattack once paralyzed terminals across continents. Booking systems collapsed. Trucks lined highways. Cargo froze mid-journey. Imagine that scenario triggered deliberately during a geopolitical crisis. No smoke, no explosions, just silence in the supply chain. Physical choke points can be patrolled. Digital ones hide in firmware and server racks. So what is happening now? The world is rewiring. Companies diversify suppliers. Factories move closer to consumers. Friendshoring, nearshoring, redundancy returns. Resilience costs more than efficiency. Extra inventory ties up capital. Parallel supply chains duplicate expense. Prices adjust upward. Cheap globalization was built on stable seas, inexpensive labor, and predictable energy. Those assumptions have cracked. We are entering an era where geography matters again. Energy independence matters. Alliances matter. Shipping lanes will remain busy, but they will be guarded, rerouted, politicized. This does not mean collapse is inevitable. Human systems adapt. Canals were carved through continents before. Trade networks rebuilt after wars, but adaptation carries cost and new fragility. For individuals, the lesson is not panic. It is awareness. Diversify income. Avoid dependence on a single fragile link. Understand where essentials originate. Recognize that low prices sometimes hide concentrated risk. Watch shipping routes as closely as stock indices. Water levels, naval maneuvers, insurance rates. These are early signals. The global economy is not a cloud. It is a circulatory system. Arteries narrow, pressure builds. We removed the shock absorbers to chase efficiency. Now we relearn the value of buffer. The choke point era is not an anomaly. It is a structural shift. Strain will return. That is certain. The only uncertainty is whether resilience is rebuilt before the next obstruction appears. The ocean still covers most of the planet. Trade still moves tonight. Lights remain on. But beneath the calm surface, pressure gathers at every narrow passage. And when the flow slows, everyone feels it. The world has not stopped yet, but the next obstruction may not announce itself. And when it comes, it will not look dramatic. It will look like delay, like a missing shipment, like an empty shelf.